Hello my stars and galaxies, my name's Nbody and welcome to my simulation. Today on the inaugural episode of my channel, I kind of wanted to give you a rundown of what exactly is happening in this world of mine. So this world is on a server I own with some of my friends and we call it AstroCraft. And some of us have already had the chance to play around a little bit. I've built a few things, but I'll give you a recap of exactly what I've built up until this point and then we can explore what my friends have done later. We're not playing just a vanilla server, we're also having some mods on it, such as create and voice chat, so proximity chat, so we can hang out with each other. But I'll list exactly what we have, including data packs, in the description below. Let me give you an aerial view of the island. We chose a mushroom island because we didn't want to have to worry about lighting anything up, because all of us forget about it. And then in this island, we kind of just chose areas where we wanted to be, trying to leave free space for roads and small shops if anyone ever wanted to build them. I built right over here and got stuck right into the create mod because it was super new to me and I had no idea how it worked. So for those familiar, I've got a mixer and a press already hooked up to a water wheel, an ore washing station, as well as a small wood farm. If you're not familiar with Create, then please bear with me. I'm going to show a few more contraptions, but I'll go over exactly how each thing works later on in the video. After that, I decided to go on to do some more vanilla things by creating a villager trading hall, something I'm a bit more familiar with, and I do intend on tearing down because I understand it is very, very makeshift. So that I can have some things to trade with the villagers, and to give myself a challenge to understand the create mod better, I decided to make 2 layers of carrots, 1 layer of sugar cane here, which are being automatically harvested constantly. And then I experimented around a little bit with something down here, which is an infinite energy generator, as some people might like to call it. This is hooked up to 2 layers of kelp farms so that it's powered. And I'll go over exact details, where I got the design from and such later, but just for clarity, all of these things are hooked up to one central windmill. Alright, well, let's look around a little bit at the base so you can get spatial awareness of what is going on. What's this thing? Oh, nice. Okay, so someone is building a shop, first and foremost, but someone's building a rocket shop. I've got a tiny sorting system here, which I intend on building around sometime soon. Down here, I've got my villagers, like I've showed earlier. And all the way here in the bottom, I've got the infinite energy generator majig. If you are familiar with Tango-Teks create videos, you'll notice that this is one of the things he built. I think he's the one who originally designed it. I just kind of saw what he did and copied it, so I mean, credit goes to him fully for it. Without him, I wouldn't not have been able to build this, but it's I don't know if he got it from somewhere else. Other than that, down here it's basically empty. This machine just feeds itself at this point, so we'll have to figure out what to do with all this energy, because right now it's just creating a bunch of kelp blocks. So I'll have to look out for things like that. Alright, well, before we go any further, I really need some grass. I've got myself a Silk Touch shovel, so I'll go gather some on the main island, because I'm gonna try and make the rest of the island green. I probably won't be able to do it all in one go, but I'm gonna give it a good try and get started on that. And while I'm doing that, I thought it might be a good opportunity to do a little time-lapse chat. I thought I'd take advantage of these times where I'm doing something quite boring or monotonous in the background in order to give you all an opportunity to ask me questions, because I'm a PhD student in astrophysics. A lot of people are probably interested in astrophysics or astronomy and would love to have the opportunity to ask someone who works in it about the things they're interested in. On top of that, I thought it'd be interesting to give people the opportunity to ask questions about what it's like to be a PhD student, what it was like to go through my studies, through my bachelor's, through my master's, and what it is that I do now in my PhD. Some of you may be actually interested in becoming scientists yourselves, or are interested just in general what the difference is between this and a normal day job. So if you are interested in becoming a scientist, you might also have fears of what is required of you, a fear of maybe you're not going to be enough. So in that case, you could ask me, what is it that is required of me? What level of math do I need? That's a question I've been getting a lot. Like, do you absolutely love math and do you have to be fantastic at it? And actually, I enjoyed math, but once I got to the higher levels of math, I struggled. Most of us struggle with the math. We learn just enough in order to be able to use it for physics and for our jobs. We aren't mathematicians. So knowing something like that could drastically change someone's opinion on if they want to go into science or not. Because of that, I want your questions, and I want you to ask even deeper questions that could potentially be tough to answer. And don't worry about stupid questions or questions that are too short or anything like that. First off, I don't think there is any stupid questions unless they were designed to be stupid. And secondly, let me worry about it being a simple question, or let me worry about it being a short answer that I can give. If it is too short for a video, I can always comment my answer to your question. So don't worry about that. Just submit your questions and stick around to see your answer in future videos. But for now, let's turn to maybe explaining some of the Create mod. So as I go through these episodes and use the Create mod, I'm going to use this creative testing world in order to not only try out new things, but also to explain them. So in Create, the heart of it really is being able to take motion or energy and turn it into rotational energy. So that is, you can also turn heat into rotational energy, for example. So the easiest example, and this first one you're probably going to craft, is a water wheel. You see here, water is flowing across the top, flowing down, and flowing behind the water wheel. And if I go in and I grab myself some of the goggles that this mod has, I can look at the amount of energy this produces, or the stress capacity it has. So for the water wheel, the stress capacity is 256 in this setup. If I were to remove this one down here, so just place a block here, you'll see it flickered. Now it's spinning slower at 192. So this energy, I can hook up things onto this shaft. I can hook up more shafts, or I can hook up different sized cog wheels onto all kinds of different contraptions, including one of the things that I showed, which was the press and the mixer. So the press, I literally just hook up like this, then put a depot down below it, and it'll take iron and it'll turn that iron into iron sheets. So you'll see here, it just goes thunk, and now I've got an iron sheet down here. I can also, let me give this more energy. I can also hook up this big cog and another big cog in order to change the energy from going like this to going like this. Right? So now it's in a different direction essentially. Then hook up this tiny one and hook up a mixer to that, which if I then give it a basin, can mix into all kinds of different things. So this is how you can get a lot of the more advanced materials. Exactly what I'll go over as I start using it for different things. You can also use these water wheels, if you have two of them, to hook up to a grindstone. In this grindstone, I can put, for example, iron ore, and it will turn it into ground iron ore, or crushed iron ore. That's the actual word. So I got lucky, there was two in this. I could put this into an oven and get an iron ingot for each crushed iron ore, or I can go over and I can put it onto a washing station. Now these are creative engines. I've put them here just so I can change the speeds as I need to rather than continuing using water wheels. But replace this with a water wheel and you've got the same setup. Here I have a fan, and in front of that I put some water so that I can throw crushed iron onto here. And the fan will use the water in order to wash the crushed iron ore into iron nuggets. Now it'll produce more than 1 iron bar's worth of nuggets each time that it goes through this. How much more? Kind of luck. So I can essentially get more than 1 iron ingot per crushed iron ore by doing it this way. If I were to replace this with lava, which let me show you real quick, I could even go ahead and just smelt it straight up. So this, I may have put too much for it all at once, but whatever, will slowly be turned into iron ingots as it's being smelted here on this conveyor belt. These things, by the way, are belts. They're very easy to get, and you're gonna use them a lot because you can transport items using it. Yeah, I put way too many. Let me try that again just so I can show it. Boop. And it's the stoop. Now, one thing I will point out is that this lava in survival will actually burn you because, I mean, you're blowing hot air through lava. You're blowing air through lava. So, but anyway, this should turn into iron ingots. So the fan is very useful and can help you in producing a lot of different things. The only other thing that I can explain very easily are the wood farm and the carrot farm that I have. But let me start with the carrot farm that I have. The carrot farm and sugarcane farm and kelp farm are all this, but on a much larger scale. So here I've got some sails hooked up to what are called radial chassis, and they're all hooked up to one big windmill bearing. The windmill bearing allows you to hook up sails to radial chassis in such a way as to create a windmill, as the name suggests. And at the front of this, I've got some harvesters. So if they encounter something that is ready to be harvested, they'll just take it and they'll put it into the chests that are back here. I will have to stop it in order to be able to access the chests, but, you know, minor inconvenience. It will also plant part of what it harvested again. So it will always try to harvest before it actually puts it into a chest. The only last thing that I've built so far using the create mod is a small tree farm. And it's basically the exact same concept as this, except instead of harvesters, there's mechanical saws. Now, one thing you may want to know with the mechanical saw is that if the mechanical saw, I'm gonna need some dirt. If the mechanical saw is the last thing, is chopping the last block in a trunk, so if this were to chop this block here, then it will just completely harvest the entire tree. No matter how large it was, it doesn't matter. Now, if it's a 2 wide tree, it will have to harvest this and this before it harvests the entire tree. And with that, you basically already know everything that I've built so far with the create mod. And I can't teach you any more until I've played around with it myself. Well, that's all the time I've got for this week. So if you think I did a stellar job, then hit the like button. And if you really loved it, then join my simulation by hitting subscribe. Don't forget to leave your questions in the comments so that I can answer it in the next episode. And I look forward to seeing you all then.